In this video, we're going to go over each of the Garten of Banban characters and compare them to their real life counterparts. And at the end, we're even going to go over some of the Garten of Banban 3 fan-made characters. Now, the first character we're going to put on this list is going to be Ophelia, aka Ophelia Bird. And a lot of people say that she's supposed to be an ostrich, but I think when you look at her and her actual color palette, I think she's more like a flamingo. And with that being said, I think it's the same for her babies, obviously. The next character that pops up for us is going to be Jumbo Josh, and funny enough, a few creatures on this list are not going to have any actual comparable real life things, because if you actually look at Jumbo Josh's wiki, he is considered to be a monster, meaning that there's nothing in our world that can actually be compared to him. The only thing that kind of relates to him that I can think of off the top of my head is Gumby, and most of you are probably too young to remember that cartoon. And with that being said, the same would obviously be true for Mini Josh and also all of Jumbo Josh's siblings. And for those of you that may not know what I'm talking about when I say Jumbo Josh's siblings, here's an image from the Euphoric brothers, aka the creators of Garten of Banban, and they put this whole little snippet here. Basically, the snippet just talks about how this is a lounge that Jumbo Josh and his siblings go to in order to rest. And of course, anybody who's uninvited will be crushed by them. But I think the thing that's even more scary is that it shows that there are more than just one version of Jumbo Josh. And if we're being honest, he's enough of a problem on his own. Having 4 more to deal with would be a lot. The next character on our list is going to be Nab Nab, and I think that Nab Nab is supposed to be a spider. The reason that I say this is because his nickname literally is the spider, and we actually see him crawling up on the ceiling. Now, the specific type of spider I think he is a wolf spider, because they are one of the few species of spiders that will actually charge at people, meaning that they'll actually run towards you. Now, a regular wolf spider obviously is very small, so they're not necessarily doing it because they're going to attack, but instead they're just trying to scare you off. But imagine if a spider was 6 feet tall. It would definitely charge you and probably attack you like Nab Nab does. And I know some of you are going to hate me for telling you this fact, but while I was researching wolf spiders, I learned that apparently the moms will carry their babies on their backs, and it looks like this right here. I had to see it, and now I have those nightmares, so you have to have them as well. Sorry, not sorry. Next up on our list, we're going to have Bambolina and Banban. And while I know these characters are supposed to be monstrosities, kind of like Jumbo Josh, I think that they are more similar to humans though than monsters. And if I had to compare them to something in real life, I would say probably monkeys. And just to put a little respect in their name, they are really smart monkeys. But if you look here, Bambolina looks a lot like an albino monkey, and Banban looks a lot like any type of red monkey or orangutan. And as we've seen in the Garten of Banban games and in some of the fan animations, Bambolina definitely has enough strength to just beat you to death, which is what it seems like she does, which in my opinion is very ape or primate-like. Next up, we're going to go with Slow Celine, and I think hers is probably the most obvious on this list besides Stinger Flynn, and that is that she is a snail. And judging by her shell, she seems to be just a regular garden snail, something that you can go out into your backyard right now and probably find. I still don't understand how she got so fast though. Maybe that's just a play on her name because she is called Slow Celine, but in actuality, she is the fastest character in the game. And speaking of Stinger Flynn, he is very obviously a jellyfish, and one of the scariest things about this is that even regular jellyfish, if they sting you, can deal a lot of damage. Their little tentacles can basically poison a person, and while it usually isn't fatal, it can be. And while we don't know exactly how big Stinger Flynn is, we do know that he is definitely a very large creature, meaning that if he was to sting a person, that person would probably just straight up die. But luckily, he seems to be a good guy in the game, but we don't know that for sure, so we'll have to wait and see. Next up on our list, we have Sheriff Toadster, and he is obviously supposed to be a big old frog. And while we don't know a lot about his character yet, I assume that he's supposed to be a good guy, but he could also be evil because a lot of stuff has been happening so far, and he has not stepped in to actually enforce the law. So he's a character that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for in part 3 because he could end up being evil. Next, let's talk about some of the upcoming / fan-made characters that are supposed to be in Garten of Banban 3, starting out with Chef Pigster. This character is created by a YouTuber named Buggy Huggy, and obviously this guy is supposed to be a pig. Here we get to actually see the pigster running around, and for whatever reason, he is huge. Next up on our list, we have the Giraffe Melman, which is made by a YouTuber named Sunberries, and he is obviously a giraffe. And if you thought this one was going to be friendly because giraffes are kind of cute, if you look at his little painting on the wall here, he literally says if you don't do this task for him, he will kill you. Next up on the list, we have Sharky Seas, and this is a character that by his name obviously is a shark. What I found interesting about this character though is that he doesn't seem to be violent. In the actual animation, he seems to help you get to the room that you need to get into. Now, I don't know much about sharks, but since the giraffe wanted to kill you, I just assumed that the shark would want to kill you as well because they look so much more terrifying. Next up, we're going to have Stanky Joel, and I think this guy is just supposed to be like some type of iguana or some type of lizard monster. And I found it interesting that in the Buggy Huggy animation, there was a bunch of them running around. So I'm thinking that if he actually does get brought into Garten of Banban 3, it may be one of those situations where you have to avoid him and all his little brethren. Now, the last characters on the list here, I couldn't actually find physical versions of them, so all I have is their artwork. And it looks like we have this elephant type monster here. We also have this purple monster, which I have no idea what it's supposed to be. And then we have this yellow monster right here. Later today, I'll be looking at all the fan-made characters and the actual characters that are supposed to be in Garten of Banban 3 and doing a deep dive on their backstories. So if you want to see that, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you see all my videos when they pop up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, peace.